joining me for episode 1 of Party Chat. Last week was my birthday, so I got some new equipment. Hopefully, I sound better. I got this nice fancy mic. Should sound a lot better than my old mic. I got some new setup here in my office. So, today's episode is going to follow our standard format, which I kind of talked about in our episode 0. So, but we're going to keep it short today to an hour rather than an hour and a half, because as soon as we're done here, I'm getting out of here and I'm going to see Mission Impossible 7. I'm very excited about that. So, I want to thank my awesome co-hosts for joining me. I'm going to bring in Ryan and Mark. Thanks for joining me this morning. Well, morning for me. I think afternoon for you guys.
Yeah, about 2:30 for me.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys could join me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Please excuse any interruptions and the fact I'm not on camera. I'm literally moving about 2,100 miles Wednesday morning, and I forgot they were shutting the internet off today because I had to turn my equipment in. So I'm literally running this through my a hotspot on my phone.
Well, you sound fine to me.
All right. Well, that's Verizon at work. So.
So our guest host this week is going to be Alex from the Salty Nerd Podcast, but this stream overlaps with theirs a little bit, so he's going to join as soon as he can. They run until for about another 30 minutes, and he's going to join in once he can. So he's one of my good internet buddies. So once he hops in here, I'll introduce him and let him join in our conversation. So for our first segment, what we're going to be doing is talking about what games we've been playing lately and anything we have to say about them. So I'm going to call that segment Now Playing. I'll need to create an intro graphic for that or find someone who knows how to do that and maybe convince them to do that for me. We got Classy Vigilante, my buddy over who's a fellow mod on Mark's channel. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. And R2 the Icky. Hey, what's up, man? Good to see you. So we're going to get right into it. Let's go, Ryan. What have you been playing lately? Anything new, or you been busy packing?
No, I've been busy packing, but I have played some stuff. Was talking with and Mark knows with the crew of Vets Talking. We've been playing some Fortnite and trying to get together and play some Halo 3 and stuff like that. Online. It's been a lot of fun, and I do apologize for my friend in the chat talking about the bonus hole. We're not going to go into that.
This is strictly video games, R2. He's Mark, I think he's currently playing Final Fantasy 14?
14, yes. Heavens.
Okay. You now Final Fantasy 14, that's the one where they came out, it was terrible, they scrapped it for a year and came back and relaunched it, right?
Yep. And it's quite good now.
When I think a year ago or so, I know people were ragging on WoW for a bit, and then I think a lot of people were switching over to Final Fantasy 14. Is that right?
Yeah, I did hear that. I've never been too much of a WoW player. I played for about 3 months at the end of university, but then stopped playing forever. So I that's not the reason I started playing. I just started playing last year because Az and Garrett wanted a new game to play with X-Ray Girl, and they suggested that, and we started playing. They decided to not keep playing it, although I kept playing it just kind of casually over the course of the year. And then Final Fantasy 16 was made by some of the same.
That's when it just came out, right?
Yeah, and I played through that and had a fair amount of issues with that game, but I did really like the what would be the word for it? I really like the writing and the story and the world building and everything. And I thought all that stuff was really good. And I was like, I was almost at the end of that first campaign of Final Fantasy 14 that they say it's like, it's kind of the one that you just have to get through. And then the good stuff happens after that. And so I fired it up and then found out I was like right at the end of that campaign and finished it on stream the day after I beat 16. And, and I've kind of been playing it ever since. It's sort of got its hooks in me now.
Okay. Now, do you have a lot of background in the Final Fantasy franchise?
A fair amount, yeah. I've played a whole bunch of them from the Super Nintendo era up through present. But I skipped all of 13. I didn't really play any of the PS3 360 era ones. Because that was just 3 games in the 13.
I was going to say, was 13 have 13.1 and 13.2 kind of like 10 and 10.2?
It had 3 of them. It was a trilogy.
13,
So
1, 2, and 3. Okay.
yeah, 13-1, 13-2, and then Lightning Returns was the third one.
Oh, okay. I remember hearing about that. I didn't know it was tied to
Character.
13. But that
Yeah,
is
no, it's the third way. Like it finishes off the story. Apparently, the second one ends on something of a cliffhanger. I've not played them though, so I'm not really speaking from experience there. But I played all the PlayStation 1 ones. They'll never finish 9, even though a lot of people tell me that's one of the best. I've played Final Fantasy 4 and 6 each like 5 times because I think those are the 2 best ones.
About how long is the new one? How many hours?
I got through it in roughly 30.
Okay.
It's quite short by Final Fantasy standards, but it's also not really a good example of a Final Fantasy game.
What was it 14 that they had that the one boss monster or whatever that had like the tremors that like took like 3 real days to beat?
that was
was that
Tormentos or something like that.
Adamantos?
Adamantos. I see that on videos all the time. It's like a giant mountain.
I've not fought a massive Adamantos in 14. You do fight a huge one in 15.
Okay, so it is 15. That's what I wasn't sure if it's 14 or 15.
I mean,
Is 15 the boys road trip game?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, it's in that one.
Yeah, it's that one. Yep.
Yeah, I killed that Adamantos. That didn't take a day.
I've seen it mentioned in videos a lot, like top 10 videos of like biggest or longest boss fights.
I guess if you're really under leveled for it, but I mean, that just means that you can do chip damage to it for a long time and have it not kill you, which I don't know that I don't know why they let articles like that go out about games that give people a very inaccurate impression of what a game is. Like, for example, it's going on right now with Baldur's Gate 3, where people are like, oh, it has 137 hours of cinematics. Like, fuck that. I want to play a game, not watch it. And I'm just like, guys, yeah, but it's an RPG that has like branching storylines.
Yeah, I was about
it's
to
not
say
137 hours of cinematics in one playthrough. It's they had to make 137 hours of cinematics in order to have that game function.
Well,
that's definitely a different context.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
the original Knights of the Old Republic had like what 4,000 real-time dialogue hours or something like that. It doesn't mean the whole entire game is 4,000 hours. It's just 4,000 hours of dialogue between every character.
Well, sounds similar in Skyrim.
It's the big thing I was seeing all over Twitter that people were ragging on with Baldur's Gate 3 about a week before they got taken over by the bear sex thing.
Yeah, I was about to say I saw the bear sex thing, which is also kind of a myth too. The druid doesn't turn into a 300-year-old child looking thing. It looks like an adult. So let's just get that clear.
Well, also, you don't have to have sex with the druid, nor do you have to play as the character that they're playing as in that clip, which is one of the NPCs. He's a vampire character. Now, the interesting thing about Larian's games is you can take control of a character you create yourself and have that be protagonist, or you can make the protagonist of the story any one of the other party members and just decide to play as that person with their established backstory and their established character in your playthrough. Or you can create a character and make it your own class, your own character, have it look like you do that role-playing game thing as well. So what they showed was a clip of a sex scene with a canonically gay character that the player chose to play as, which you don't have to choose to play as, and had him have sex with the druid guy who apparently can turn into a bear in the middle of sex. So it's like,
it's integral to the story. You must do it to fight the final boss.
But that's the thing. It's not at all. Most people will probably never see that sequence. And I think the reason they showed it is to be like, hey, well, we know that furries tend to buy stuff. So
do you remember back in the day when Mass Effect came out and the news was like, it's a sex simulator?
Yeah, that was back when
it's like
when the
it's more tame than TV shows portrayal of
they got really upset that you saw a half a second of Liara's butt.
Yeah. It's like, are you kidding me?
Butt. It's demonic. And I was like, guys, come on. It's an alien woman in a sci-fi. I've not ever watched Star Trek.
Oh, all the time. Love Star Trek.
No,
Like,
but
are you
like, I
kidding
mean,
me?
that's the thing. Like, it's not a new thing that there's an appeal of a fantasy. You could say I wouldn't call it a fetish, but a fantasy of being a spacefaring captain who meets an attractive alien woman and hooks up with her. That's not new. And they were acting like it was this brand new thing that had never been done before, and that you should never be able to have sex with alien women in a game. And it's like, what, guys?
Yeah,
Come
you
on.
never had a problem when Kirk was doing it in the 60s.
I was about to say,
mean,
yeah.
honestly, I think the people complaining probably would have, but I think
Probably,
the
yeah.
audience they were complaining to is people that are like, yeah, but I mean, we don't care. Like, none of us care, and that's why it's sort of kind
Yeah,
of collapsed the conservative angle censorship of video games, because I don't think
so-
anyone was on board with that. So video games are taking God out of our children's minds and replacing them with violence, and it's like, come on, stop it. No,
I
it's
dealt
not.
with that when I was in high school because so I'm from Colorado and I'm moving back to Colorado. I was raised in Colorado. After Columbine happened, GoldenEye 007 was a game that was out, and my dad was like, because I wanted it for my birthday, and my dad's like, I don't know if we should buy this game for him. My mom's like, it's fine, and of course, it turned out to be fine. But it's just
that game's rated teen.
Yeah, well, I mean, back then that was kind of a little bit of a big deal, but because you can actively go around, popping people. It was.
I vividly remember the day I went to the store and got GoldenEye. That was a good day.
I remember. Yeah, I got it for my birthday. It was so awesome, so awesome. Anyway, we are here to talk about other video games.
Yeah. One thing I was going to mention a few minutes ago when we were talking about Final Fantasy is like one thing that has a worse naming convention than Microsoft and their Xboxes is Final Fantasy. It's like that's so convoluted and complicated. It's like 10 is a sequel to 10-2, but 11 is not.
Oh,
did we lose Mark?
Froze.
Oh, there he is.
If it's a numbered title, like if there's a number at the end of it and no subtitle, it's a brand new mainline story. And if it's any subtitle at all, it's either a sequel if there's a number in front of a subtitle, or it's its own thing.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I've never been
Final
into
Fantasy
Final
VII,
Fantasy.
Dirge of Cerberus is a third-person shooter, but it takes place in the Final Fantasy VII universe. Final Fantasy VII is in the title, and you play as Vincent, who's like the vampire, like kind of demon hunter looking character.
Okay.
But I mean, technically, it still takes place within Final Fantasy VII's lore, And
yeah. Okay. And what was that one called?
Final Fantasy VII: The Dirge of Cerberus.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that one, but I don't follow Final Fantasy. I've never been into JRPGs. But if it's a first-person shooter, then that might...
third or first-person shooter, though most people play it third person because it's kind of got some Devil May Cry aspects to it, and those are sort of weird to do in first person in that game. So
also, yeah, it's kind of like Jedi Outcast, where you use guns in first person, but lightsaber in third. I mean, you could do either, but it's by default because it makes more sense to use lightsaber in third person.
I'm pretty sure in Dirge of Cerberus you switch in the menu, so I don't even think it would be very practical to be switching when you're switching from guns to melee, because you're doing that constantly. That's what I mean. It's kind of more like Devil May Cry in that. Well, why would I want to be going into first person to shoot the guns in Devil May Cry? I shoot like 2 shots and then I go back to my sword.
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense. Cool. I'm gonna have to check that out because that sounds a lot more interesting to me than the standard Final Fantasy. Hate me if you will. Was that game well regarded, or is it kind of like the black sheep of the Final Fantasy?
I wouldn't say it's a black sheep. It's a game that a lot of people didn't play, but I think it was pretty solid.
Are there actually any Final Fantasy games that are actually not pretty decently received, if not beloved? Because I've only played a handful, but they all seem to do really well when it comes to a release, because obviously they're on 16 now, and compared to the state of when they first launched.
Yeah, although it's like Final Fantasy is a bit of a weird series in that regard, because the success of one sort of has no bearing on even what type of game the next one's going to be. Like,
Okay.
I mean, it's funny. I was talking about Dirge of Cerberus being kind of like Devil May Cry. Final Fantasy 16 is effectively a Devil May Cry game more than it is a Final Fantasy game. Like, it's a third person character action game more than it is absolutely anything else. So it's like, well, I mean, did this need to be called Final Fantasy 16?
Mhm.
Maybe because its story does seem like the story that a mainline Final Fantasy game would have, and it does have its own specific lore in that it's vaguely connected to the other games, but not essentially taking place on a different planet with different versions of all the monsters and spells and everything like that involved. So I don't know, it's a brand that has a massive following, but it's almost like the title itself is starting to mean less and less about what you can expect from the type of game. For example, the game I'm playing right now is an MMO. So it's like, well, is this a Final Fantasy game if it's a massively multiplayer game instead of a single player defined story? And I think you could maybe argue no, but now that I've gotten through some of the story aspects of it, it's like, well, no, this is very much a Final Fantasy story. And the combat, I would say, actually has more in common with Final Fantasy games than 16's does, because you each play as a specific role in a defined party. There's a tank, a healer, and 2 DPS in every mission in this game, like every standard dungeon. And you can do it with NPCs if you want, but you can also have just other players matchmake with you and join and be those other roles. And because those roles are well defined, it's like, you know that, okay, I'm just controlling this person. I have some control over where they're positioned and some control over the timing of their attacks, but ultimately I'm just acting as the person selecting the commands for this one character. And they do, I think, enough to make this combat system complex enough that even though you're just controlling one character in a party of 4, it does feel like all of those parts, all the parts of that party are necessary, and that your role is integral no matter what you're doing. Because
Okay.
anyone dropping the ball in the party will fail the mission. And I think it's why this game has cultivated such a community of fairly cool people for the most part, because you're all working together. Everyone knows what their job should be, and there are ways to be better at it or worse. And it's in your best interest to have the people that are playing with you get better at it, because you want to complete the mission that you've match made into as well. Like, you don't want to be in there for 6 hours because you keep dying. So it
Mhm.
does behoove you to say, hey, when you're doing the healing, try to focus on healing the entire party at the same time the most. And then if someone drops really low, then switch to manual heal. Don't be manually healing everybody all the time, because you're never going to be able to keep up with all the damage being done to every character. You know, like you can give tips like that that might help you guys succeed if you wiped on a boss attempt. So I don't know.
But
It's
it's
a
a
series.
pretty
There's a
pretty
lot to
small
it.
parties then. It's not like 4 players, not like WoW. You can get like 60-person raids.
Well, you can. The multiplayer matches in this are 74 people.
Oh snap!
Holy
The
cow.
That's a
um,
lot.
well, it is 3 teams of, I guess, how is that even divided? 72 actually. Yeah, it's 72.
Jeez, that'd be
But
crazy to
often
watch.
you're kind of incentivized though to do even the multiplayer dailies, even if that doesn't seem like the kind of thing you want to do, because you get just a ton of experience for it. So if you're leveling your character, it's like, well, maybe I should do the multiplayer daily, and that gets people playing it, even if they might not be super into that aspect of the game. And there's a lot of daily bonus activities that do that, which get the entire player base playing together, because at least once you hit level 16, because that's when you can start doing the dungeons as just a manual queue, and you have the leveling daily, and it's a good game. It is very, very solidly designed, and I think probably actually one of the best examples of the series, and it is the least like most of the games in the series except for Final Fantasy 11. So I don't know. Like, this is just a tough series to clearly define as one thing, because it isn't one thing. It's a whole bunch of different things that just share some themes. So we've actually, Classy Vigilante, who's in the chat, has now edited 2 videos of me and some viewers discussing what is real Final Fantasy. So if you go on my channel. There's some clips of me discussing this in even more depth than I have right now.
I did see that show up on my timeline. So, all right. Well, I earlier this week I finished. Oh, I lost Ryan, probably due to his internet. But we'll see him when he gets back. Yeah, I've completed earlier this week Ender Lilies. I think it's called like Quietus of the Night, and it's Night with a K.
Oh, yeah, that looks good.
Which is a 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania, which is my genre of preference. And it's very Souls-like, which I haven't done a lot of Souls-like games. Probably really the only other Souls-like I've played is Blasphemous, and it's very similar to Blasphemous. If I had to pick between the two, I'd probably say Blasphemous, but I did really, once I kind of got used to it, I did start to really enjoy Ender Lilies. And yeah, it's, for anybody who knows anything about Xbox, true achievements, there's the TA ratio, which basically is a gauge of how difficult a game is. And it was surprisingly not like, it is very RPG because there are levels, and leveling up does make it a lot easier. But a lot of the times I was in areas like I felt like I was going through at the pace the game wanted me to, but I still felt under leveled when I got to a lot of the boss. So I had to go grind a bit more, which I know that's kind of common in like MMOs, but not really so much in this genre. So I had to go and grind, and then I had a lot better time with the bosses. But yeah, they were, every time I got to a boss, I died a lot, and I'm like, all right, I got to go level up. And where was I going with that? Oh yeah. So the ratio on the game is pretty low, but compared to what I would expect from it, but I did enjoy it, and I would recommend it. And speaking of Blasphemous, Blasphemous 2 comes out next month in, I think, the 24th, so just about 5 weeks from now. So
yeah,
looking forward to that, which I played. I started Blasphemous a few years ago thanks to Mark's video on Blasphemous, but I didn't actually end up playing it until like I played it for like an hour, wasn't feeling it, waited a couple years and came back, and I actually played through it and completed it in its entirety.
Yeah, the early game in Blasphemous is hard. Like it is a very difficult game until you start unlocking some of the abilities, because man, it's the enemies are unapologetic.
Yeah, I liked Blasphemous more than Ender Lilies, but not to say that I didn't like Ender Lilies. It was just once I kind of got into the game and got used to it, then I enjoyed it. But the one thing that kind of disappointed me a little bit on Blasphemous is one of the key elements of Metroidvanias is ability gating. So you get new ability, which allows you to reach new areas. There's very little of that in Blasphemous. It's almost all gated by locks and doors. You do get a couple of abilities, but I don't even know if you actually need them to beat the game. I think you only need them in order to get 100% completion rate. And Ryan's back.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what my camera kicked up. Well, my standard webcam kicked on, and then it kicked me out. Which I had turned off. So I don't know.
No worries. I was just going over what I've been playing lately, which was I completed it earlier this week. Was Ender Lilies, which is a 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania, which I was okay. It took me a little while to get into it, but once I did, I enjoyed it. I have another game which I actually just started playing last night, but I'm gonna hold on here until Alex joins us because he'll get a kick out of it. So until he does get here, let's go ahead and move on to our first topic. Or actually, you know what? Let's skip to the second topic because the first topic was provided to me by Alex. So I want to save that one for when he gets in. So first topic for today was what games have you beaten more times than like any other game? So Ryan, I have a prediction, and I'm gonna say yours is KOTOR. Is that accurate?
Yes. Yeah, that'd be pretty accurate.
How many times do you think you've beaten it?
The first one probably 10, and the second one probably like 8.
Okay.
Kind of like those games.
Yeah, with the whole I don't know, we might have talked about this on episode 0, but with the whole KOTOR remake, what was your, because it got put on ice, what were you excited about that, or you like me, it's like, no, I'm glad it got put on ice again because I don't want Disney ruining another thing?
I'm really glad it was put on ice.
Okay. Yeah, me too.
I don't want that thing touched with a 1,000-foot pole. And
By
the
Disney.
the fact that they said that they called it a remake and
and not a remaster. It's
yeah,
like upgrade the graphics and leave everything else the same. I don't need you touching anything. They were talking about like hiring a writer. It's like, why do you need to write it? It already exists.
Yep. Yes. No, there's like, again, there's like, I think Basila's character has like 4,000 hours of like dialogue or something like that, because there's so many different things that you can say. And I was just like, don't touch it. Just leave it alone. And well, I mean, they were going to bring the original actress back in. I was like, okay, well, I mean, what is she going to re-record different lines, or
I can see them bringing them back to record higher audio quality than what we got 20 something years ago. But yeah, to record new lines, it's like, just stick with the original dialogue and give us a new coat of paint. And
I disagree. No one's gonna know. I'm telling you, you could just EQ up and make that audio sound better. It was like, I mean, people say that if these games were made on like a reel-to-reel recorder in somebody's basement, it's like, Knights of the Old Republic had a big budget, guys. That audio sounds fine. There's really nothing wrong with it.
I haven't played it in a long time, so I don't remember what it sounds like, but you think that they could easily upscale that audio quality, kind of like what they do with old movies to like 4K Blu-rays?
Yeah.
It was a game made with Lucasfilm's sound library, okay?
Yeah, it was made in 2003, so it would
and that's the thing. It's 20 years ago, which was still like 10 years after the internet was in everybody's house. So I don't know, man. Like I'm not really that
Hey, Tim.
I'm not really that on board when they say, oh, we're bringing back actors to record voice lines because it's just not high quality audio enough. We need that super crisp HD. I'm like, no, fuck off. You're lying.
That makes
You're
me
lying
nervous
right now. Like, you want to change dialogue. You want to add new shit. You want to make a different game. And I think, at least in their defense, at least for the Knights of the Old Republic remake, at least they always did say that they wanted to make a remake that was a brand new game and that they weren't going to try to keep it ultra true to the experience of the original. I think for me, the biggest thing I was worried about was less the storyline changes that they would make. Not that I'm not worried about that at all. It's just I was less concerned with them actually wanting to put in the effort it would take to do that. More so with them totally revamping the combat and making it not a role-playing game at all. Because I guarantee you they would have just tried to make it a third-person, over-the-shoulder cinematic movie game version of Knights of the Old Republic, because everything they were saying about it was making it seem like that was their plan. Up to and including making it a PS5 exclusive and giving Sony a marketing deal for what seemed to be no reason. Because like,
I did not hear about the PS exclusivity.
They announced it at a PlayStation showcase.
Oh, that's probably why I didn't watch
They announced it as a PS5 console exclusive, the Knights of the Old Republic remake being made by Aspyr in partnership with Sony. So I guarantee we would have gotten we would have gotten Knights of the Old Republic by way of The Last of Us. I'm telling you. Which, I mean, to be fair, I completely would understand if you're like, man, that sounds awesome. If you really like Star Wars and really like that type of game. But it's not the type of game Knights of the Old Republic is. And I think that there's a lot of fake Knights of the Old Republic fans out there who might have played the game once when they were in high school and remember it being really good. But if they went back and played it now, they'd be like, oh, this game sucks. The combat's bad. It's like, no, it's a CRPG. It's just you want it to be an action game, and it's not an action game.
Nope, it's all about the story.
That was my biggest complaint with it, was the combat. But I wasn't into RPGs until I played Oblivion.
Well, you know what's funny is Oblivion was actually my first introduction to the Elder Scrolls series. So I have a special place in my heart for Oblivion, but no, Knights of the Old Republic, even the turn-based combat, it will always be what, in my opinion, what should be. And I think it's nostalgic enough that it should never be touched. And I know that sound, is an old man here, at the ripe age of 37.
Old Ryan yells at Cloud.
Yeah, old Ryan yells at clouds. You damn kids. No, I just leave it alone. If you wanted to do like a remaster, I support it 1,000%, but do not put the term remake in there at all. Don't touch the dialogue. Don't touch the combat. Just make it look more, more attractive. What's up, Tim? I tried to tried to say hey to you and Beard earlier. I don't know if you guys saw that because my internet's all laggy. I'm gonna call my service provider after this and be like, can you turn my internet back on until like Tuesday? Yeah, just please don't touch it. I don't want Disney to screw something else up. And I'm not trying to go off on a Disney tangent, but we probably all saw the a lot of the recent Disney stuff that's come out, and it's just not good. It's just not good.
I mean, and I will defend Andor,
I was
but
gonna say, I knew Mark was going to bring up
I
Andor.
also wouldn't.
Oh, I watched Andor.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
necessarily give Disney credit for that. I think that was Tony Gilroy going rogue.
Yeah, no, my only gripe with Andor is that it was a little slow, but I think the writing was definitely better. But it wasn't meant to be, the super action packed show. And I'm actually going back and rewatching it. Tim, I just turned 75.
I think
Just like JT.
it's not trying to be an ultra action packed show and be more focused on character and story is something honestly that Star Wars has been in need of for quite some time. And it's funny to say that's actually what Knights of the Republic had in spades, because it was mostly dialogue. Like when you consider the amount of time you spend playing Knights of the Republic, most of the time you're not dealing with balls out Jedi action combat. You are some of the time, but the vast majority of the time you're spent doing CRPG stuff. You're talking to people, you're making dialogue choices.
Yep.
You're trying to figure out what kind of story you want to be in, because you have a lot of agency over that in a CRPG. And that's actually honestly, I think the best example of what a new Knights of the Republic game could be is Baldur's Gate 3 that's coming out next month, because it's Larian basically trying to do a BioWare game. And as much as BioWare has really gone off the rails lately, Knights of the Republic was BioWare at their peak, or like entering their peak, I guess, depending on what you consider BioWare's peak. But they had just come off Baldur's Gate 2. They made Knights of the Republic, and all of a sudden we're on the map as one of the biggest RPG developers in the world. And they went on to make Dragon Age, which is kind of their...
I love me some Dragon Age.
Yeah, and I think the first one is quite good. I kind of fell off the second one. But
Yeah.
I never got into Dragon Age. I always wanted to because I like BioWare and Mass Effect's my favorite. I just never got into it though.
I will always defend Dragon Age Origins. I think that
I've heard that's
game, and the DLC
weakest.
is great too.
The whole entire DLC. I love Dragon Age. That's literally BioWare was my favorite gaming company for so long. And it was. I think the Dragon Age, of course, Dragon Age 2. Yeah, I mean, I know it takes place in a different, different land and stuff like that. It's been a while since I played it. The combat was different. They went from, obviously turn-based to something else. But the original Dragon Age story is just, I would say, if Knights of the Old Republic story is a 9, I would say Dragon Age's story is probably an 8.
Yeah, and it has the benefit of also creating unique lore. Like, I mean, granted, it's based on a lot of fantasy tropes, as effectively their version of Dungeons and Dragons, but it has its own stuff going on. It almost has Jedis, because the Wardens are basically Jedis.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they are.
And it was what they followed up Knights of the Republic with. It still played like a CRPG, at least the original one did. And then it was Mass Effect that they were like, what if we made a CRPG, but the combat was like a third-person shooter? And
I love Mass Effect 2.
And then Mass Effect 2, though, I think is where BioWare started moving towards, okay, we're just going to be a big blockbuster game company, because they really leaned into the shooting and kind of veered away from the role playing in 2. They did the same with 3, and then they made Anthem. And now BioWare is in the state they're in right now. But Larian is a CRPG company who've just been cranking out CRPGs their entire career, and they're doing the sequel to the franchise that put BioWare on the map. That's coming out on PC in under a month, and on PS5 in September, I believe.
What's the BioWare game? Hey JT, what's up, buddy?
Hey JT, welcome.
What's the BioWare game? The one that kind of took place in like no, it was kind of took place in like, I don't know, ancient
Jade
Japan.
Empire.
Oh, Jade Empire.
Jade Empire. Yes, that was one I never got a chance to play.
Yeah, sorry. Actually, I should have said that it was between Nice Old Republic and Dragon Age was Jade Empire as well.
Okay,
that's my mind, to be honest.
Yeah, that was another original Xbox game.
Yeah, no, I wanted to ask
because Knights of the Old Republic. It's why it was funny that the Knights of the Old Republic remake was going to be a PlayStation exclusive, because I'm like, Knights of the Old Republic was an Xbox exclusive.
Yes, that's the only reason I still have my original Xbox.
I do not any longer have my original Xbox because I tried to fire it up and found it was dead.
I traded it in.
What
for
is up, Mr. Tickle Trunk?
Oh, what's up, Tickle Trunk?
I have original Xbox games, and I'm in the longest dungeon queue ever. Yeah, so if anyone is on my stream right now, you might want to go over to Nerdy Neo's channel and just watch over there, because nothing's really happening in this game. Though I have puppies, so there is that. Hey, Rocky.
That's definitely a bonus. So, I was going to say something earlier, but I forgot. Oh, yeah, you were. I've never really. You've kind of been, promoting Baldur's Gate 3 on episode 0 and on this one. Yeah. I've never really been following it, but given what you said, I might look into it. But it sounds like it's you said PC and PlayStation. Is that right?
Yeah, the Xbox version is being worked on, but I think there was some. This started a big controversy over the Xbox Series S, because apparently the thing that is stopping them from shipping on Xbox at the launch day
is getting it to run on the Series S.
Not getting it to run. It can run just fine. It's not a very heavy game. But the thing is, you can play split screen multiplayer, where you guys can go into different towns and stuff and then meet up and do battles together once you decided, okay, we're going to move on with the main story. Everyone stopped doing their side activities. And it's that is having trouble running on the Series S. Okay. And because Microsoft's mandate is that no core feature cannot appear on the S if it appears on the X.
Has to have console parity.
Yeah, and so it's the first time that's been but I think they should handle it by just hitting the minimum viable product on it and just being like, okay, we can do the 4-player split screen on the Series S, but it goes down to 540p, deal with it.
Yeah, that'd be my vote.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, so all the people who just want to play the game single player, like most people are going to play this 100-hour RPG, can just play it anyways. And then if you want to play it multiplayer, online only on Xbox, sorry. Or you can do split screen if it's a Series X. But I think it's the problem with doing the 2 hardware specs and making a demand, like everything you can do on the Series X, you can do on the S. It's just, it's going to be lower resolution, but that's it. No other trade-offs. I think that if they weren't going to really hold to that by say, okay, they're literally no different. It's just the GPU has less VRAM, and that VRAM's only going to be good for running things in 4K. So whatever, you have a 3070 in there instead of a 3080. It's not that powerful, but I'm saying that it would be the equivalent of. It's like you're not doing a whole lot with a 3080 that you can't do with a 3070 unless you want to do everything you were doing at 1440p in 4K.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm glad that that there is an Xbox version, so I'll keep an eye on that once we hear more about that. So, and we have our special guest joining us, Alex from the Salty Nerd Podcast, right here. My buddy.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, man?
Good to see you guys. Nice hat. Nice hat, sir.
Yeah. Got it from a really awesome guy over the Salty Nerd Podcast.
What's up? What's going on, everybody? What are we talking about today?
We were just talking about our games we've beaten the most times, but now that you're here, we're going to kind of jump back a little bit because we don't have a lot of time, because this episode is going to be a little short because I'm getting out of here to go see Mission Impossible. So,
okay, cool.
So we'll have to have you back on another time when we have the full 90 minutes sometime.
For sure.
So the first thing we went around talking about was what games we've been playing recently. I talked about Ender Lilies, which is a side-scrolling Metroidvania. Mark is currently playing Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, right this second.
Like literally right now on his channel. So if you haven't followed the Salty Nerd Gaming channel, go follow them. Alex here plays, lately he's been playing Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis on Saturday evenings. Anything else you've been playing?
Point and click.
Yeah, I love the old adventure ones. Yep, for sure. I kind of knew that Indy 5 was gonna suck, so I was like, I'm gonna go back and play a game where I actually like the
The actual
storyline.
sequel.
Yeah, the
I know,
actual
right, dude?
sequel. Oh,
Hey,
there's Matt
Vader.
Vader 74.
What's up, Vader?
Hey,
I am in studio. They just got done with our live stream, so I'm popped out into the editing bay. What are you doing?
Oh, he couldn't hear me anyway, so you got your headphones on.
Yeah, Indiana Jones, The Fate of Atlantis. Love that game. I should be doing a live stream tonight. I'm lost in the catacombs of Atlantis right now, and I could not find my way out, so I had to pause. And
Oh,
then
yeah,
I
that's
was
where you
trapped.
were last episode.
Yeah, my last episode, I was stuck in the catacombs, so I have to find my way out tonight. But yeah, it's a fun game, man. I love those old school point and click adventure games. I feel like there's I personally, I would love to see these come back on a mobile device. Like if you could take Indiana Jones Fate of Atlantis and put it on my phone or my tablet, I'd play that thing all the time. No
Guarantee
internet.
you can put that on a Steam Deck today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I just feel like there should be some kind of a gaming studio out there who is dedicated to making old school 16-bit point and click adventure games for mobile devices. I think it would
would
be
agree.
a perfect fit. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, they again, I'm gonna go back to it. They put Knights of the Old Republic on iOS. I mean, if they can do
Mhm.
On
that,
everything,
Fire
kind of
did
like
that,
Doom.
Yeah.
yeah,
The
like
team
if
that
they can
was
do
going to
that,
make the
do it.
remake is the one who did the iOS and Android ports of both Knights of the Republic games.
Was
Yeah,
that
that's
Aspire?
actually why I was kind of like excited
Mhm.
for them to be the ones doing it when I first heard about it, because they also did the Knights of the Old Republic 2 complete patch, like the restoration patch.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, which it basically was like, hey, all the weird things that were kind of unfinished and buggy and shitty about KOTOR 2, we finished them all for Obsidian and modded them into the game for free. And apparently, like the rights holders, which I believe it's probably still EA actually, right? For Knights of the Republic.
I think so. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, that would make sense since they're BioWare and BioWare is owned. Hey, there was Culture Casino in the background too.
Yeah, he's
Well,
over
no,
here
wait,
too.
no, like, EA didn't
What,
originally-
Mark,
might
was that
have told
Aspire that did that?
Yeah, and
What
Aspire
a culture.
They also did the PC port of Force Unleashed, which is
And they
Ooh.
did. I know they did the Xbox port of Episode 1 Racer as well.
yeah.
I got that on Steam. Episode 1 Racer. Yeah,
That was a fun racing game.
I like preferred Racer Revenge, the PS2 one.
I never played that one.
It was really good, and you
Was
get
that the kart racer one?
No, it's still Pod Racer 2. It's just
Okay.
it's just you play it. It came out just before Episode 2, and you actually play as teenage Anakin Skywalker using his old pod. And the story was that it's like just before Episode 2 happens, Anakin gets pulled into this like pod racing street ring or something.
Yeah.
And,
Do you guys remember the Star Wars Twisted Metal game?
I think that's one I was just thinking of.
We're like,
Super
you-
Combat racing?
No, it was like a vehicle battle game. where
Oh,
you could-
actually, it was on PlayStation 1, right?
yeah, PlayStation 1 or something like that. But you could play like on the surface of the Death Star and like blow up half the Death Star with your ship, and you could fly around as different characters and stuff like that. It was I forget the name too, but it was a super fun game.
I know which game you're talking about, but yeah, I don't remember the name of it either.
Yeah, I don't think I
Gears,
played
or-
it.
I don't know, I remember it having a weird title like that. I
It's
haven't
kind-
played it though, but I definitely am aware of it.
Was Super
Yeah.
Bombad Racing the one I was thinking of? That's the kart racer.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was that one. Yeah.
Okay. So, other than indie, anything else you've been playing lately, Alex?
On your recommendation, I started playing Grounded,
Oh,
which
yeah,
is
that's
like
right.
a Honey I Shrunk the Kids survival game kind of a
Made by
thing.
the developer Knights of the Republic too.
Yeah, that's
uh,
Obsidian.
I love
Can't
super
get away
Obsidian
from
fun.
also.
KOTOR here.
It was that game was called Star Wars Demolition.
Ah,
Ah.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Twisted Metal. Yeah, Twisted Metal Tatooine. Yeah. So Grounded, I've been playing that recently, and there's like I'm probably gonna get some flack for this, but I've actually been throwing on just as a quick, easy like pickup if I have 10, 15 minutes by myself. Game is Star Wars Squadron, I think it's called.
Yeah.
The new one. Mark played that.
Yeah, the new one. I throw that thing on the AI versus Squadron thing where I take on a Star Destroyer with like a squad of like 4 people. It's all AI. I don't really play online. Dude, the graphics in that game are so fun. When I'm flying across the bow of a Star Destroyer, never gets old. Oh my god,
Have
this
you
is so
played
much
that game
fun.
in VR?
I was just going to mention
I
that.
I want to. It's on my list.
Oh,
I
dear
want
Lord.
Mark
to.
has a video
Send-
about
yeah,
it.
send him my video. Like that's a VR game. That is
I-
full blown a VR game that
Yeah.
I guarantee you an EA executive was like, we got to sell this to everyone else as well. But
Yeah.
if you play that game in VR, it might actually change your life.
I
I-
like Squadrons. It got a lot of heat. For,
Oh,
Well,
it's
it's 'cause-
the story. The story is fucking terrible.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. The story.
yeah.
Yeah,
The
the
story's-
part of it. The part of it that got a lot of flack was the main
One
like
of the
campaign
pilots.
storyline. It was
Yeah.
all just super woke nonsense. But the gaming itself, the mechanics of the game and
Yeah,
the
I like
playability
it.
of the game is
Looks
amazing.
great.
It's basically the spiritual successor to the old like TIE Fighter and X-Wing games because it
Yep.
plays a
From
lot
the
like
writer of
the way I
Gotham
looked at it.
Knights, everybody.
Yep,
the writer of Gotham Knights. Oh, that says
Yeah.
a lot.
Mitch
Oh
Dyer.
no.
that makes sense.
He
that
also
tracks.
wrote the Star Wars Battlefront 2 campaign. So
That also makes that lines up.
Let me see if I
So-
can pull up my Xbox thing and see what games I've been playing recently.
How
But
did-
yeah, Squadrons is fun for just like a quick, like, oh, I got 15 minutes, I'll play a quick round. I have so much fun with it, man. It's a great game.
So yeah, we're get short on time here. So the topic that we were talking about when you came in was what game you've beaten more times than any other game. So Ryan was talking about KOTOR. And I think that's as
Yeah.
far as we got on that one.
Yeah.
Mark, you had to pick a game or two. What games have
probably
you beaten
Metal Gear
more?
Solid 3 because for about 10 years I was just playing it annually. Just every time I would have a field exercise, I would bring my PlayStation Vita into the field and I would play Metal Gear Solid while camping. Metal Gear Solid 3 while camping out in the woods and doing army shit. So
Nice.
it's,
Yep.
For me, I would probably have to pick Splinter Cell, Chaos
The
Theory.
original Chaos
Two
Theory,
stealth-action
the best
games.
one.
All
Yeah,
right.
Chaos Theory is the best one.
Oh, okay.
I-
Chaos
I'm-
Theory.
I'm
I
a,
thought
I'm a
someone said the original.
sucker. I do love the first one. The first one's super
No,
fun
Chaos
too.
Theory is the best one. I was going to correct
Yeah.
you and say, no, it's not. Chaos Theory is because I thought
Chaos Theory is the best.
Yeah,
I thought someone
yeah.
said the original. Oh, yeah, it's the
Um,
best one. And I'm like, no, it isn't. It is not at all.
No, it was it went the first one was it Stealth Evolved or something like that. The second
Yeah,
one was Pandora Tomorrow,
Tomorrow.
which was
That's
all
my
right.
least favorite of the original three.
Yeah,
Bad
and then
story, that one too.
yeah, and then Chaos Theory like just
Reinvented the
blew-
stealth game.
Yeah, it was amazing. That game is endlessly
Game
fun.
changer for Chaos Theory was giving him a knife.
Yeah,
You know what
right?
it is?
Just hold the
Because
guy there.
you had to elbow a guy twice in the head in the first two games to get a stealth kill.
Knock him out.
Like it
Yep.
didn't make any sense. No, you had to hit him twice. So it's
Yeah,
like
you
what?
did this like
He's
really
an
janky
expert.
elbow thing.
Yeah, and it was
Like he's an
man,
expert in Krav Maga. And it takes him two
like,
hits to knock someone out.
With a rifle. Like I'm talking smacking the guy with a rifle. He has to hit him twice, and it's like the guy doesn't even react to the first one. It was strangely done, but all of a sudden you give him the ability to
Look at this
just
guy.
jank a guy, and it's like, oh man,
What's
this
up,
game. All
culture?
of a sudden I'm deadly Batman.
Yeah. So, if I it's a toss up for me between I don't know which one I've beaten the most, but probably the games I've beaten more times than any other games is Ninja Gaiden Black, Ninja Gaiden 2, Ocarina of Time, and Mega Man X3. I've beaten them all probably at least 15 times.
Okay.
Ninja
I could probably put Halo Combat Evolved, the first Halo game. I could probably put that on the list for games.
I could
I've
probably
beaten
put that up
most
there
times.
too.
Yeah.
Completing that one
Yeah,
so many times.
especially because there's a lot of miles you get out of that by just playing co-op with different people,
Mhm.
especially back in the day.
Yep.
Resident Evil 4 is up there, like original Resident Evil 4, especially because I played it twice within the last year.
With the original?
Yeah,
Before the
yeah,
remake?
well, because I played it on my PC before the remake came out, and then fired it up on my Steam Deck, and found actually the original plays really, really well on the Steam Deck. And so I've played Resident Evil 4, the original, twice within the year that the remake came out.
So one other thing I was going to mention earlier on games you've been playing recently, I wanted to wait until you got here because you'll appreciate this. So last night I just started playing Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and the opening level, you start out as this brawler guy that's very much like Leary, and the first level takes place in a steel mill in the 1860s.
Whoa. That is not
So
a
for any of
coincidence.
those
That's
who
amazing.
don't follow Salty Nerd Podcast, we've been watching and talking about the show Warrior on HBO for this summer because season 3 just started a few weeks ago, and one of the main characters in it it takes place in 1860s, I think, San Francisco, but one of the
Yep.
owners is a steel mill owner, and there's a lot of fighting and martial arts and stuff. So it was like, oh my god, this game came out in like 2015, but it's like almost paralleling
It's
Warrior
leery.
on the first opening scene or the opening
cool.
level. So I wanted to wait till you got here to bring that up.
That's cool. Right on, man. I'll have to check that. Is that like the newest one? Because I know there's been a couple
No,
out there I
Valhalla
haven't-
is the newest one. Syndicate was
Okay.
the last one before they rebooted the franchise with Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, where they turned into basically giant RPGs.
Okay.
O-
Okay.
Odyssey was the one with Atlantis, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah, that's
yeah,
that's the one I'm familiar with.
I was confused.
The most recent one. I haven't
They're
played
available-
Valhalla is the most recent one. That's the Viking one.
Well, no,
Okay.
Odyssey is the one I'm most familiar with recently. I haven't played
Okay.
Valhalla.
Yeah, I've played
there's-
everything up to Syndicate, and I've just started Syndicate, and I haven't played anything past that.
So I've been kind of on the edge. I'm an old school Assassin's Creed fan. I like the original game.
Are you looking
and
forward
I-
to Mirage?
I loved Black Flag, which is the last one that I really got into.
That's what
ever
most people
since-
consider the best.
Yeah, ever since then, I feel like they've gotten kind of repetitive. Is there one that you guys think I should pick back up as a fan of the franchise? Should it be
Rogue is
Origins or
pretty
Odyssey?
Like
Like,
Black Flag, but
Rogue is an
recommend-
underrated one. I really loved
Hmm.
Rogue.
I
yeah,
haven't played
Rogue.
Odyssey, but I want to play it. But I'm sorry. Origins. I played Odyssey. Origins.
I've heard
is one
Origins
that I
is
haven't played.
good, but I haven't gotten to it yet.
yeah,
That's the one
Odyssey.
that takes place in ancient Egypt.
Seriously,
Yeah.
play Witcher
Yeah.
3 again instead.
Play Witcher
Three.
3.
Yeah, honestly, like, the new Assassin's Creed games, they just seem to me like, oh, it's kind of Assassin's Creed, but mostly it's Ubisoft trying to do Witcher 3, only shitty. It's like,
Speaking of Witcher, because of Witcher season 3, volume 1, I've decided to start playing the Witcher games again because good God, that was terrible.
that was one of the things I was going to mention earlier when we were talking about like the media and portraying games was like they didn't seem to ever have a problem with Witcher 3, and that game is way more graphic than all the other stuff that they throw a fit about.
I mean, see, the thing is, though, it's the different media that had a problem with Witcher 3. That's like Witcher 3 came out in the time that the people on the left started getting on the whole like everything in gaming is sexist and racist. And
then, of course,
there's a
you got-
famous and it's a Gundam video is probably one of the first times you guys ever saw my footage because I sent him a clip of there was a feminist frequency podcast where it was Caroline Pettit talking about the oh god, I forget the guy's name. There's a guy who's Horson Jr. Horson Jr.'s place in Witcher 3 that you go there and he's like a gangster that has kidnapped and murdered a whole bunch of women and they're like hanging up in his bedroom essentially. And girl goes in there and you just beat him up. And I had footage of that I'd recently been capturing because I was trying to figure out how to capture higher quality footage. And Gundam was talking about that on one of his videos. So I sent him my clip of the thing where she's talking about the women that are in the scene and like that they're just there for the male gaze and stuff. It's like, hey, no, they're there because a psychopath kidnapped them and killed them. And the hero of the game goes in there and just beats the living hell out of the guy. Like it's not done in a way that's like, oh, look how exciting it is to have dead women hanging on the walls. It's not portrayed that way at all. I was like,
It's all
yeah,
about
she was way
context.
off on this one. So I sent him that footage. Then he made a video on it while using my footage. You can tell because my Geralt has really aesthetically inappropriate big mitt gloves that look like oven mitts, and an otherwise pretty slick looking like rogue style armor. So I was like, hell, that's definitely my footage. No one else would have those gloves equipped because I was stat hunting at the time.
Shoot. All right. Well, we are about out of time because I gotta get out of here to go see Mission Impossible. So sorry, it's kind of ran a little bit short. We'll have to have Alex back on so we can talk some more and bring up the topic that he suggested, which was which game were you most looking forward to, but turned out being disappointing. We'll have to touch on that on another episode. So appreciate you guys coming on and joining me today. Next episode is going to be 2 weeks on the 29th, and we'll have the full 90 minutes on that one. Trying to get as my special guest host on that one, Nerdporial Lifeform. So he's haven't confirmed that yet, but we're working on that. And one other thing I want to mention before go around the horn here. is that I decided this week that I'm going to do most likely a Thursday evening stream. The time may jump around. It may jump to Wednesdays, just depending on my schedule. But I'm going to try to do like Thursday evenings. I'm going to call it open mic, where it's kind of just open. I might talk about a game, might have a guest on, I might stream something, kind of just whatever. So I'm going to try to do that on Thursday evening. So come join me if you want to talk about gaming stuff. So what do you guys got going on? Alex, what do you got going on this week?
Tonight, at some point in time, probably around 9 or 10 p.m. Pacific time, I will be doing my next episode of Indiana Jones. Once we are done with that game, I am kind of on the fence as to what to pick up next. So I would openly take suggestions if you guys have something that you think would fit the bill for single-player-esque storyline games.
Hey,
hit
Vader's
me up.
here. Oh,
Yeah,
Hadouken, what's
both of
up,
them here.
man? And Vader.
But other than that, that's it. I mean, check out the YouTube channel. We got a lot of fun podcasts coming out. We've got Warrior episodes coming out as they drop, season 3. And also, we just did Maximum Overdrive, that Stephen King cocaine-fueled movie. We reviewed that as well. So,
I'll put that in
yeah.
my playlist. So, yeah, check out Salty Nerd Podcast and Salty Nerd Gaming. That's where Alex does his Fate of Atlantis on Saturday evening, Salty Nerd Gaming.
Cool.
What do you got going on, Ryan?
Oh, I'm first
Anything
off.
while you're moving?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get my internet back, since I am in the process of moving and they shut it off today. And I didn't think, got delayed, but anyway, so I'm gonna be on Screaming Into the Void with Samuel the Infamous, Know Me Without You, should be Cat the Hijabi Gamer, Joker Voice, stuff like that. We will be talking about pretty much anything and everything that and then after that I will actually be on with JT and R2. We're gonna after the weekend, harder.
Weekend harder. That's tonight, right?
That is tonight. So I'll be on
Okay.
with them for about an hour, and then I'm going to jump from their stream directly on to Vets Talking with many of the busy day with many of the Legion of Memers, Horny Alf, Soldier Spirits, Dermy Wormy, and we'll probably be many others, and we're definitely going to be making fun of Dermy because he's a weirdo. So that's me.
Cool. So yeah, go check out after the weekend harder. Those are some of my other internet buddies, R2 and JT. So go check that out. And Vets Talking, which I think Mark has been on there as well, since both of you guys are vets.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and what about you, Mark? What do you got going on? You also, I know you're streaming all the time.
Yeah, presently right now I'm streaming Final Fantasy 14. I'm just about to start the next main story quest because as this podcast was going on, I switched over to just doing leveling dailies and stuff on my ninja, but we've switched back to the Dragoon. So if you'd like to see some of the Heaven's Ward story, which is one of the best expansions I hear, and so far it's been living up to the hype, gotta say. It's
Sweet.
pretty good story content happening over here. And tonight at 6 p.m. I'll be live with X-Ray Girl on my couch, where we are going to be answering your questions about relationship, dating, and communication skills and stuff like that.
The dating game, right?
Yeah, the dating game at 6 p.m.
So, yeah,
Eastern on my channel. So in
Go check
2.5
out-
hours.
Yeah, a couple hours. Go check out Mark's channel for that. Or if you're a fan of Final Fantasy and want to watch him play that, go switch over to his channel right now.
Oh, we might be playing Street Fighter 6 at 9 as well.
And Street Fighter after that. Sweet.
Nice.
You guys got busy schedules. So, all right. We'll have to have another full episode with Alex on for more time next later on. I got to get out of here and I'm going to see Mission Possible. Great talking with you guys again. You guys have a great weekend. And we will catch you on the next episode.
See ya.
Take it easy, guys. I'll be over on my stream.
All right. Later.